We'll get into some of the Sarah Adam stuff that I wanted you guys to see. It's one of my favorite episodes. This particular episode is from the Shawn Ryan show, episode 81, I believe, part 2. If you just type in Shawn Ryan show, Sarah Adams, it'll pop up. She's been on there 3 or 4 times. And I think this is very important for us to understand. This gives a good intel from somebody that is probably the most knowledgeable person on these terrorist groups in the modern day. I feel like a lot of people in our government still think that these groups are the same groups that we were dealing with in the early 2000s, and that's just not the case. So in this video, she'll break down the current goals of these terrorist groups, and Shawn asks her straight up, I mean, are we headed towards another 9/11 attack? And she gives that answer very bluntly. So I really enjoy Sarah's work. You can follow her on Twitter at Sarah Adams. She's also on the Scott Mann show quite a bit. And again, all video credit goes to Shawn Ryan, and hope you guys enjoy.
Be like, oh, Taliban, we put 1 million on Barraider. I'm talking Al-Qaeda or other very known terrorist groups.
You think we're going to be back there someday?
We have to be. They're coming.
I want you guys to really focus in and listen to this. I mean, Shawn asked her straight up, you know, will we be back there? Pretty alarming answer here.
They're coming. The thing is, remember, they're on offense now, and they are coming for us. And a lot of them, remember, a lot of these guys we locked up for 20 years, and we didn't lock them up in a nice prison in the United States. They were in Poly-Charkey prison. So, like,
I just want to add to that, not only is that motivation, but this isn't the same group that we dealt with in 2001, early 90s, early 2000s. It's just not the same group. They were able to pull off 9/11 with a $500,000 budget. Now we're sending them $40 million a week. $40 million a week we send to them. They have an endless budget to attack us in our homeland now, and we funded it. And I know that sounds crazy, and you might think I'm a nut for saying that, but that's a fact. I'll do another video on it, and I have done videos on it on my Patreon at patreon.com/realllife_media. It's 100% a fact. I'm sure I'll do another video on that as well. But that's a fact. We send them $40 million a week, and they're probably going to end up using that to fund an attack against us here in probably the near future.
This really shitty prison outside Kabul. Like, there are terrorists very, very upset, and they want revenge.
What do you think the probability of another 9/11 attack is? Did I already ask that on here?
No, you haven't asked me that.
Okay.
I think exactly how it's done. It is hard to replace Khalid Sheikh Mohammed, KSM, who planned it. I'm not going to lie, he was a genius. But do they want to do something at that level? Yes. Do I think that they will do something more innovative than 9/11? Definitely. Remember, they tried it with obviously the liquids on the airplanes.
That's an interesting take there. She thinks they're going to be more innovative, which makes sense. It was almost 30 years ago since the last attack. And another thing I'll add to that is they always want to outdo themselves. They always want to outdo their last attack, whether it be more injuries, more fatalities, obviously. But they want to be more sophisticated as well. And they have grown a lot as an organization. And they also have a lot more resources than they had back then.
I think the next attack will probably be something more innovative. I don't think it's going to be 3,000, but I don't think it's going to matter if it's 3,000, right? Because they want to hit here, and they want to show they can do it, and they want to do something spectacular.
That's 100% correct. And another thing I'll add to that is, guys, they want to liberate the West. We will always be their number one enemy. We'll always be number one on their target list. They want to liberate the West. That's just what it is. It's indoctrinated into them at a very young age, on the radical side of what they believe anyway. They want to liberate the West.
How do you know that they want to hit here?
Because we're their top enemy. And we always will be. It's never going to change.
Yep.
And remember...
Are we picking up traffic from them that are saying this? Do you know?
I have no idea if we're even collecting traffic anymore.
Oh, man.
And just before they go on to the next topic, you know, is it realistic that they can come in and liberate the West? And 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 take over our land. No, obviously that's not realistic. To them, it is. That's their pure motivation. They also live in a different reality than we do. Uh, to them, that's they're capable of doing that. But our threat is fatalities and injuries to American people on our homeland. That's the reality that we face. That's their goal. That's their motivation. That's what they're planning. We need to wake up and understand that. And so does our government, to be frank.
It's funny because a month or two ago, I found one of our newest Benghazi attackers, the one I told you it was in Gitmo, and he's the one talking to the Connies. And the funny part is, the Libyan that was telling me that, he said, "Well, I hope your country's collecting what he's saying to the Connies." I said, "My country is not even. They don't even know this Gitmo guy was involved in Benghazi, let alone he's still a terrorist, right? Think of it. We haven't even collected on what happened to the Gitmo guy's release. Can you imagine what we're doing to anybody else?
We're not collecting on these guys.
They don't know that he's been a terrorist for 11 years.
I mean, you could just see the frustration in Shawn's face there. We have our priorities on the defense side of things and on the intelligence side of things are so bad right now. The current administration hasn't been any better. I know that this current administration hasn't been in place for that long, but they're kind of piggybacking off the last administration, and we're not in a good place right now as far as defenses goes. We're just not. I'll end it there, guys. I just want to add, Sarah, she's awesome. Follow on X. If you don't follow her on there, you can just find her at Sarah Adams. You can find her on the Scott Mann show as well. She's been on Shawn Ryan. I encourage you to watch all of her episodes. What I love about Sarah is that she's not afraid to give it to both sides of the aisle. If you follow her on Twitter, she's a little fireball, man. She will go right at people on the left. She'll go right at people on the right. She's not one-way traffic, as I feel like we see so much of that nowadays. I feel like we've never been more divided on the political side of things. It's either you're on my team or nothing you can do is right, and I'm just never been that way. I'm always going to try to find the facts that are in the gray area, because I don't think anything's black and white. The truth's usually in the gray area. So I try to fill my Twitter feed and I try to get my news from people that kind of aren't afraid to give it to both sides of the aisle. I feel like that's a rarity nowadays. So that's why I really like Sarah. It's just a quick clip of one of my favorite moments from the Shawn Ryan show. If you enjoy it, give it a like, leave a comment. I'd love to have some Discord with you on the comments. Consider subscribing. Check me out on TikTok and check me out on Patreon. Links are in the description. See you in the next one, guys.